Hello, once again, this is Randall Meek with the Philippines Project. And the reason for this video is I had to figure out what to do about health insurance after I retired. So, when I left my job at FedEx, I had to pick up individual major medical or private health insurance, okay? And of course, I lived in the United States, as most of you know. I was started out paying about $438 a month, and I expected it to go up. Yeah, so yeah, and it actually had a $5,000 uh, deductible. Before it would pay anything, I had to pay the $438 a month, plus I had a $5,000 deductible that before they would pay anything, I had to pay $5,000 out of my pocket before it even started. So fast forward to when I retired, and up until last month, it went from $438 all the way up to $1,451 per month. Still had the $5,000 deductible, and of course they would pay 100% after that, and that actually kicked in 1 year out of all the years that I have paid it. Since 2010 to 2023, I had paid this insurance. It did kick in 1 year and paid quite a big sum of money for me. So I'm not complaining about the company, but it was getting to the point to where I could no longer justify paying that much for my health insurance. I was paying at the last part of this past, if I continued to pay $1,451 per month, if I paid my $5,000 deductible and the $1,451 per month for 12 months, it was going to cost me $22,000 a year for my U.S.-based health insurance. So I sold my businesses in 2021 on September 24th. But ever since I left FedEx Freight, I worked for FedEx Freight for 15 years. I always had their insurance, but ever since I left there, I always carried private health insurance. So long story short, I was going to have to pay $22,000 a year, and my Social Security, when it finally kicks in at age 62, probably isn't going to be that much. And the icing on the cake is, when I have my annual Doppler ultrasound, I have a test once a year on my carotid arteries because that's where I have cardiovascular issues. I called and asked about the test and how much it was going to cost, and it has ranged from $1,300 to $600, but they wanted to charge me in St. Louis, Missouri, $2,000 for about a 40-minute test total and to see the doctor. So that was the icing on the cake. You call it the straw that broke the camel's back, whatever you want to call it, but the math was just not adding up. You see, I was going to go to the Philippines. I was planning on going to the Philippines in October of 2022 anyway. So I thought to myself, why pay $2,000 for one test when, shoot, I could fly to Bangkok to one of the top hospitals in the world right now, Bumrungrad Hospital in Bangkok, Thailand, fly there, stay for a week, eat some wonderful food, get a whole day, I did the math, do a whole day's checkup and my test for less money than the $2,000 I was going to spend on one test. And that actually turned out to be pretty close to the case. I think it may have run a little bit over the $2,000, but we went to Bangkok. We stayed in a high-rise. You can look back at my Bangkok videos. But I stayed in a high-rise condo. It was beautiful, 22nd floor, top of the world there in Bangkok. I went to a world-class hospital, spent almost a full day there getting a full-body checkup for me and my wife. And then the next day, I went in for about an hour and got my Doppler ultrasound on my carotid arteries to check that, like I just said, once a year. And that test only cost me $258. What a difference. 1/10 of the cost of that same test that I was going to have to take in St. Louis. So between everything, it was right around $2,000. I thought, what a deal, So, well, I knew that I had to do something. I follow this guy, listen to this guy on YouTube. His channel is called The Nomad Capitalist. And he had some really great advice on getting health insurance if you decide to move from your home country outside of the U.S. or the U.K. or some Western country, anywhere that you don't feel like you're being treated right, you can move abroad to a different country and get your health insurance taken care of for a lot less cost. His motto is go where you're treated best. You know, I can't really argue with that. It was just, it's amazing what happened when I went to Bangkok and got that health insurance checkup and got my test. Here's the problem with American health insurance. There's no competition. I remember one of the first few times that I got this test on my carotid arteries, probably in 2017 or 2018, I asked the fine folks at the hospital, how much was this going to cost? And I was met with stares of disbelief. Now, why would you even want to know that? It's like, I know I've got a $5,000 deductible. I'll be paying the bill. But you know, I was passed off to like 3 different people, and none of them could tell me how much that test was going to be. Now, I think that's ridiculous. You go in, you know, I had a janitorial company for about 10 years. And what would that be like? Well, sir, how much is this service going to cost? We want it 7 days a week. And, you know, how much is the cost going to be? I said, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We'll send you a bill. Just pay it. That wouldn't fly in regular business. But in health insurance in the United States, you never know. And most people think, well, my health insurance company's going to pay it. Well, there's no competition. So, you know, there's that. I did a little bit of research in how high the cost of health insurance was from country to country. And there's this place called Pacific Prime, and it rates health insurance in different countries by the cost and ranks them in order. Of course, the United States was number 1. I was surprised to find out that Hong Kong is number 2 and Canada is number 3. So I don't know where, I thought Canada had, you know, universal health insurance. That's cool. I don't know anything about it, so don't quote me on that stuff. But and then Medicare on top of it, if I get to age 65 and I'm here in the Philippines, they tell me that I hear that they're not going to pay even for that. So, you know, I had to go looking for some health insurance here in the Philippines. And you may be like, oh, wow, what's that going to be like, you know? Basically, and I'm no health insurance expert. I'm just a guy living in the Philippines, and I've got to have health coverage. But here's the little bit that I know. First of all, the costs of anything here medical related, if you go to a hospital or go see a doctor, is dramatically less than what you're going to pay in the United States. I mean, I would go to the doctor for my routine checkup, and it would be like $85 for the office visit, and it would be like $130 for my tests. You know, I'd have a blood test every quarter. I can do the same thing here, out of pocket. It was out of pocket anyway for me in the United States. I can do it out of pocket here. My doctor visit's about $10. The tests, I don't even know, they did all the tests in Bangkok, so in another 2 or 3 months, I want to have some more blood tests to keep up with my health. I think that's very important. But it's a small fraction of what it would cost in the United States. I went to the doctor the last time here in the Philippines. I think it was $10 for the visit. The prescriptions, everything all said and done was less than $25. I got like 2 or 3 different pills, and I checked the price of those same pills in the United States, and it's like 1/10 of the cost. So here's my new health insurance plan. Basically, I'm still paying everything out of pocket, but you know, the surgeries here, you go to the hospitals in the Philippines, and if you're afraid, you know, of a local hospital, maybe in Iloilo City, fly to Manila. What's it going to cost you? $100 round trip? You know, maybe 120. And then you go to a world-class hospital in BGC, and, you know, you don't have any issues. And, you know, the hospitals here in Iloilo City, I'm sure they're fine. I've never had any experience with them, but I've read a lot of comments about them, and, you know, I talked to the doctor about them here, my local doctor, and, you know, she assures me that there's some pretty good spots to get certain things done. So I know that, first of all, I'm going to have my medical expenses for the most part are going to be out of pocket. But what I also know, the company that I selected, they're going to pay for any catastrophic type situations. I have a $2,500 deductible. That's not a problem. That's half of the deductible that I was paying in the United States. So, I mean, that's not a big deal. Even if you have a low limit credit card, or you don't, even if you don't have the money in savings, you can have a low limit credit card and still pay for that. So, I mean, how much do you really have to pay for? Now, if you have a lot of health insurance concerns and it costing you a lot of money, and you have to have a lot of constant medical care, it may not be great for you. But I mean, I don't go to the doctor maybe once or twice a year, and usually, well, I've been going 4 times a year for routine checkups, but actually having to go maybe once, twice a year to ask a question or something like that. The Philippines, as far as that Pacific Prime, the company that rates countries by the cost of the health insurance, they don't even appear on the list. So, but you can go to Philippines, you can go to Thailand, you can go to Malaysia, you could go to Singapore. They're a little bit higher, but they have excellent medical care. And these places will take care of you. And, so there are options. What the option for me, the option I couldn't select is paying $22,000 a year, for my medical care or health insurance. It just wasn't going to work. So again, long story short, I had to get medical insurance outside of the U.S. I went ahead and went with a fellow by the name, if you're an expat or you follow the expat groups on Facebook, you'll recognize the name Michael Onstadt and his associate Miles Lava. They did an excellent job taking care of me, getting me through the application process. And here's the final cost, because I do have some health issues that they had to take into consideration. Number one, they don't pay for the first 12 months for pre-existing conditions, but that's pretty standard anywhere, okay, even in the U.S. Number two, there's a $2,500 deductible. And I'm not going to go into all my medical limits, but it's $1 million plus. And plus, if I travel to the United States, I have 90 days of health insurance that I can enjoy there that they'll pay for. I might have to take a trip to Cancun, Mexico, or drive across the Canadian border, and then come back, and I've got another 90 days. So I feel very good about my health insurance situation. I feel fantastic that this month and the months from now on, I'm not going to have to pay $1,451 per month. Next year it's going to go up, and then next year it's going to go up. And so if you're going to be an expat, if you're planning on moving to the Philippines, this is the last tip, and maybe one of the most important things I can tell you. And I would have done this, would I have really planned carefully. Okay, my health insurance, and it's rated up because of my health problems, cost me a little over $3,000 per year, not per month, per year, $3,000. So, I sent them money for that, and I've got my pre-existing conditions, they're not going to pay for that for the 12 months. But if I get in an accident, something else happens, something that's not pre-existing, I'm covered. I mean, anything that I haven't had before, I'm covered. So, I feel really good about that. But here's what I would do if I were you and you have health insurance back in your home country. I would contact Michael Onstead right now with Pacific Cross Health Insurance here in the Philippines. You can look him up online, Pacific Cross, Manila. Michael Onstead's going to come up. His name, he does a lot of business here, and the service is unparalleled. It's more personal service than I've ever experienced in my insurance lifetime, and I was in the insurance business for a few years. So I really do appreciate those guys, and give a shout out to Miles Lava, his assistant or managing partner, he calls her, and she does a great job, and Michael as well. But if I had my health insurance right now in the U.S. and I had it to do over again, I would go ahead and purchase insurance from Pacific Cross or whatever company you decide to go with. That way, and keep your health insurance that you've got as well. That way, when a year from now, if you're planning on being in the Philippines in a year, that way when you get here on day one, you've got full coverage with Pacific Cross. Now, should something happen, something to do with, I have a stroke or some kind of cardiovascular issue, I'm going to have to pay for that out of pocket. But here in the Philippines, I can afford it. But, if I would have pre-planned a year before and went ahead and bought my policy, then I'd be fully covered right now. So that's the way I would do it from now on. If you like this content, it's just sitting down talking with you guys. That's not usually what I do, but I wanted to share this with you because this is one of the main challenges that I had. What am I going to do for health insurance when I get to the Philippines? This is what I did. If you like this content, make a comment below. And right now, if you're not subscribed to the channel, go down there right now and hit that red subscribe button in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. And I'll be seeing you on the next video. Thanks for watching.